4chan's a website that's not normally in the news, but in response to UK's Online Safety Act, they had no choice but to file a lawsuit. This is because 4chan is a US-based company, and while it does have UK users, it doesn't really have any sort of physical presence there, so by trying to censor them, they're violating the First Amendment. That's pretty unacceptable considering how valuable free speech is to everyone. It's the First Amendment for a reason. The ironic thing is that the Online Safety Act has actually led to an increased use of VPNs by UK users, which completely undermines all the effort Ofcom has done so far to censor and regulate the entire internet. The spike was actually so massive that Proton VPN reported over 1,400 more UK signups right after the law kicked in, which is absolutely insane, considering that they tried to control and censor the internet, and the fact that they tried to frame it as some kind and righteous deed. It's no surprise that many people are trying to get around it. What the UK is doing is actually pretty terrible because it goes against the whole spirit of the internet being free and anonymous. So the fact that 4chan is trying to combat the censorship is actually pretty respectable because they're standing up to fight against this at their own expense, unlike all the other companies that just stood back and accepted their fate. Now, there's one really important thing that's worth noting, and I'll tell you what it is right now. Even if you aren't in the UK, you should still be worried because if it happens in one country, it can easily happen to another. As you can see in the following tweet that says, "Let's list all the countries trying to force ID, age restriction, or monitoring systems in the last 2 weeks. USA, Canada, UK, EU, Ireland, Australia. Basically, most of the Western world is doing this. Twitter was one of the first websites to be affected, and the changes were implemented almost instantly. There were thousands of posts complaining about the new restrictions from just about every kind of user, regardless of how old they actually were. For example, there's this user by the name of Daisy Chain who wrote a tweet saying, "Due to local laws, we are temporarily restricting access to this content until X estimates your age. The new policy is shocking. I am 36 years old. If information verification is now required, it will violate the privacy of X users." And that's exactly why 4chan is fighting this too, because not only does the Online Safety Act put 4chan users at risk, but it also exposes the privacy of its moderators too.